What's up, Ron?
All right. How you doing?
Doing good, man. I just want to thank you first before we start. I know through your podcast, a lot of users can be reached if if they're watching it. You can get your message across on how do we better ourselves after the life of the peer.
Yeah, exactly. How you doing today?
I'm doing good. I just got off of work and I was looking forward to this.
That's right. Yeah, I've been looking
Thank you.
forward to talking with you too. So what do you do? You say you just got off work. What do you do now?
I work out in the docks,
Okay.
uh, dealing with containers.
How do you like that? How did you land that job?
It was through God, man. I can honestly say it was decision that I made along the process that landed me in there.
Mm-hmm.
I'm talking about making wrong decision
Mm.
to come up, get paid. Instead, I did the right thing, and I returned the goods. And then, not shortly after that, I received my letter to go in.
Man, that's good. That's good. That's a tough job. Yeah.
Not really. If you pay a lot of attention like we do, just like living that life in there, you gotta pay attention.
Yeah. That's right. You was locked up a long time ago?
I was in 79 it started. I came from Samoa in 75 when I was 10.
Okay.
And then in 79, I started hitting the substation. And back in those days, when the cop found out you were Samoan, they didn't take you to jail. They took you to your parents.
Yeah.
They'll sit there and watch it. And then when they're satisfied, they'll just leave.
Yeah, that was the better way, I think, back in those days. I mean, because who did we fear most was our parents.
Exactly.
Yep. So you're out there in Carson?
Yes.
Okay. So you moved out there. What was it like growing up for you, going to school out there? I mean, was there a lot of Samoan families in Carson when you were growing up?
I think besides San Francisco in the Northern California area, I
Mm-hmm.
think in the Southern California I have just as much. Uh, and growing up in Carson, it was it was a bit of a struggle because I didn't know how to speak English at the time. Um, and I would look at people talking and laughing, my way, and I would be offensive
Mm-hmm.
because I'm assumed right away that they're talking about me. So the first thing that I'm used to is get into it. Hey,
Yeah.
what did you say? Sort of thing.
Hmm.
But dealing with people, I've learned a lot of things growing up. Even when the time spent in the pen, the number one word that you're gonna learn, I don't care how bad you are or how you're gonna learn that word respect. And it goes a long way. And then sometimes it plays a role into our downfall
Mm-hmm.
because in the pen, we uh, we get that pride. I'm not talking about the small pride. I'm not talking about the Mexican pride or Asian pride. I'm talking about the pride that forces us, that drives us to do, anything so that we can be satisfied with the damage that was done. I'm talking about that kind of pride. And that's a
Yeah.
pride that destroys us,
Mm-hmm.
that a lot of us will end up back in jail because we can't control that.
Yeah. Yeah. So growing up with the language barrier and everything and really not knowing the proper skills to deal with it at the time, that caused you a lot of trouble and got you involved with a lot of things. Did you ever get involved with street gangs or anything like that while growing up?
Oh, yes. Uh, one of the Well, the main group was from Carson. We flagged red, and it seems to be the color that that made me hate my brothers since just by the color. They had not done anything wrong.
Mm-hmm.
We have not crossed paths, but that color destroy. I feel like it destroys our people because right away when I see you, with the blue, right away I'm already like, I don't like this guy, and you haven't done anything wrong. And it's one of the things I want to talk about because next year will be 30 years for me being out of jail. I got out in '93,
Nice.
and I never looked back. And one of the things is, is controlling that.
Mm-hmm.
Not allowing the color to separate me from my Usos. Man, right now, I don't care where you're from. I don't care what you claim. You're Samoan, you're Tongan, Hawaiian. You're a brother.
Yeah.
You're a brother to me.
Right. Right. So, what really drove you to really get involved with these gangs, though? Was it a sense of a different type of pride, or was it just, trying to feel like you fit in somewhere? Because a lot of our people, a lot of Samoans come from the islands, and it seems to be kind of the recipe, right? You hit the
Yes.
streets and some bullying goes on, or just not fitting in, being out of your element. And a lot of our peoples end up gravitating towards these type of things like gangs. What was your personal reason for really, really gravitating to it?
I think well, I know one of the biggest thing that plays a role is resentment on my upbringing. I had a very abusive father. My dad and mom divorced at a young age. I think I was 7 at the time when they divorced. They weren't really divorced by paperwork, but they were divorced by, him leaving. And seeing through it as a kid, um, and then when my father had asked me to bring all of us, there was 5 of us, to come to America. When I came, I was already attached to my mom. She did her best at the time. We moved from family to family, and a lot of that caused me to have resentment. It caused me to be um, just, I didn't care.
Mm-hmm.
I felt like there was no love at home. So when I came from Samoa, um, it was so easy to get into gangs because I didn't get that love at home. You know, I went so many years without my dad, and then I went so many years without my mom, and being a middle child, my parents was always giving the chores and to the older sibling, and then babying the younger one and forgetting the middle one. So I didn't feel that love from them growing up. It wasn't until I got in trouble and I was already sentenced to the pen that I realized that they cared. But during that whole time, I said to myself, man, if you just showed me a little bit, I probably would have been a different man today. But in a way, I'm grateful that it did go down that route because I've learned a lot, along the way, and it helped me a lot, especially when I have a family now. It helps me to be the man of the family and making decisions
Mm-hmm.
for them when it comes down to it. But it was easy, for me, it was because I didn't get that love at home in my upbringing.
Mm-hmm.
So when I went out to the street, when you meet guys and they keep their promise, they give you stuff, put their arms around you. Hey, you one of us. this and that, and it just grows from there.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt like when I'm at home, I don't get the attention. Um, and then when I'm with my friends, hey, I feel part of the group. So little at a time, I started, you know, dedicating my time and everything that I knew. If they went down, even I knew they were going to get into, the wrong stuff, but I didn't care because to me, that's a form of love that I never had.
Right.
And that was the cause of it.
Mm. Yeah, I think that for a lot of us, it's always some type of something at home where it began, of course, some type of abuse, some type of lack of attention or love. And it always seems to be, the negative that pushes us to the street and to find, that support or a group that's out there. And whether it be positive or negative, we're quick to just jump into it, and that brotherhood that is a different type of feeling. And I get what you're saying. I just wonder if our parents were just more, instead of just treating us like a child, and maybe just if they were talking with us and being more open about everything, we would probably have made different decisions, of course. That's what I would think. But I think that a lot of Samoan parents that come from the islands, they weren't ready for what these streets had for us out here, and especially California with the gang lives and our children going out in the streets and being involved with that. So with you, was there any hard crimes that you got involved with where did you take your anger out on the streets, or was it slowly getting into the criminal world for you?
Well, being one of the youngest one in the group, not the youngest, but one of the youngest, you feel like, I felt like I had to prove myself, mm-hmm. or wanted to volunteer to do the most stupidest thing and being involved because I wanted them to see that, hey, I'm down with you guys, whatever it is, even though I know it was wrong. But, when you're 14, 15, you don't look at that.
Yeah.
You're looking at the friendship, you're looking at the relationship. You don't look at, oh, what I'm going to get out of this. Mm-hmm. I know I'm going to get this. You don't think of the outcome, when you're getting ready or planning to do one of these things because we're kids, and being involved in it. I was sentenced to 22 years. Mm-hmm. 79, I was in and out of the substation. And then 1980, I went in and supposedly we were supposed to take the rap because we're the younger ones. And then the deal was you take care of us and we'll do the time, mm-hmm. Because we knew at the time they couldn't send you to the real pen. They're going to send you to the youth authority because of our age. Mm-hmm. But none of that happened, and I learned the hard way, that it's a saying that my dad always says, friends for every day, but your family is there on the tough days.
Right.
I learned that in a younger age, and going through the youth authority, and then get kicked out and sent next door to Chino, and then caught another case, went to Rancho Cucamonga County Jail, caught another case there, went back fighting, and finally I was sent to Soledad. Mm. But when I got to Soledad, I can honestly say God was looking out for me because I have my dad and mom were later on they were pastor of the church or associate, right? And that was one of the things that drove me to doing that because I see at home you're preaching, but what you're teaching is total different thing or what you're doing.
Right.
And that drove me away from the word because I was raised up in the church. But it drove me away because I don't see two and two, both of them going hand in hand. So when I got to I got to Soledad, and I remember on almost, I think like 1992, I think it was almost 1992, I was walking the yard and having a church background. I was walking the yard and I looked up to the sky and I said, God, if you ever let me out of these doors, I promise I will serve you. And because my heart, I can't serve you right now. I got myself in here. And but if you ever give me a chance, I will serve you. Because the reason why I can't serve you in here is because if my usos go down, I'm going down. Mm-hmm. So to make a long story short, I get transferred to Tehachapi, level 4. And then from there, I got transferred to Calipatria. And my younger brother was there, which I'm not proud of because, being older than him, I set a wrong example for him, being out in the street. So I get to Calipatria and I'm in the class because they force you to go to school. And I met this guy, this Oriental guy. And we were talking, and then he goes, you know what, there's something wrong with this. So he asked me for my transcript. And I'm looking at 2004. This is 1993. Mm-hmm. My closest date is 2004. And I'm going like this, you know what? 2004 is right around the corner. I have something to look forward to. So anyways, he asked me for my transcript, and then he read it and he came and he told me it was going to be $500 for the mails that he prepared for me, the paperwork. Mm-hmm. And I told him, man, I ain't got $500. I don't even get no support. I don't ask for no support from the street. It's all right. 2004 is right around the corner. And then he goes, you know what? Just think of me when you get out. So he handed me 3 envelopes, and he told me to make 2 copies of each. And then he told me, the court, they don't see nothing wrong if you never request for time served that you have gone through. In their eyes, they're not doing anything wrong. As long as you don't request for it, they don't feel like they're doing anything wrong. So that's exactly what he was doing. He was asking for time served. Mm-hmm. And then next thing you know, I'm in the shower in Calipatria, and the CEO was looking for me and kept calling my name. And I'm saying to myself, why are you looking for me? I'm already locked up. Yeah. And then finally he got a hold of me and he goes, you need to go see the counselor immediately. So jokingly, I'm walking out with them. I said, what the worst thing they can do to me? Mm-hmm. Tell me to go home? And I get there and the counselor held up the paper and said, I have a minute order from court for your release immediately. Wow. And I was shocked. I was shocked.
That's crazy.
Everything I had in the room, everything that the Walkman, the TV, everything, because my brother already had his. So I took everything that belonged to me and I changed it over to his name. I said, hey man, I can give you this. And and that money they give you out the gate, I can't give you that because I'm gonna send it to my brother.
Yeah. Wow. That's crazy. So how does that work? I mean, what was it, the legal matter? Just the fact that you were doing more time for your crime, or, I mean, because you were a juvenile or something at first?
I just think when you go through the county jail, mm-hmm. You go through the county jail, you're fighting your case. And I think when they, the consecutive concurrent, I think it's that time. If
Wow.
one case ran concurrent with another case,
Mm.
I think you have good time, while you're waiting your sentencing. And I think
Wow.
that was those days accumulated, and
That's
it
time
put me out in
served.
the street. Yeah.
Right, right. And so
Because,
if you don't say anything, they just keep you in there.
yes, I would have stayed in there till 2004.
Wow. That is crazy, man. And what a blessing for, you to run into this guy and he's just like on a hunch. That don't sound right with your case.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I mean, to me, I look at it, that, God played a role because he knew my heart.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't know at the time that he put a plan forward to making this happen because, I said, I can't serve you now that I'm serving time. I can't serve you now because I'm in here.
Right.
Because if one of my brother gets into it, my heart. I'm going to jump in. I have to go down with them. Not that I have to, but
Right.
I will.
Right.
So I didn't know at the time, and it was a three-year course that I went through when he actually, you know, his plan came to effect.
Mm.
Um, when I walked out, I totally forgot what I had said because
Mm.
remember it's 3 years later. Um, totally forgot what I told him. Went back and trying to pick up the life, that I left off as far as I can remember.
Mm-hmm.
And then one day the bouncer came. It was this woman that I was with. Um, they came and they arrested me, and I was even. I mean, I've been drinking, but I wasn't drunk because I knew what I was doing. And I remember telling the cop that Judgment Day is going to be held today because it ain't going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
And then one of the security, a Samoan security, came over and said, "Hey, they're just going to take you, detain you for a minute, and then, they're going to let you go." And the funny thing was, is I was on parole at the time.
Mm.
So when I went in there, um, that was the number one thing that was in my head. Is like, I guess I'm going back for a violation because, that's one of the rules you can't cross.
Yeah.
But I remember sitting in there in the holding tank, and I heard this voice calling my name, and he said, "Manu, is this the life you want to live?" And then he said, "Look at these four corner walls," and my eyes just followed what he was saying, and I'm already like breaking down, like, man, I just done a whole lot of time, and now I'm going back for a violation. And I already know me. I know me that, a year can turn into 2 years, 3 years, whatever it is. And that's what I was sad about.
Mm-hmm.
But then he said, he told me this voice that was talking, and he said, you don't have to go down this route. You don't have to, but it comes down to what you're going to decide to do. And then, but the thing that broke me down in tears is when he said, he told me, remember what you promised me? Well, I kept my end of it,
Mm-hmm.
of the bargain. And that's what tore me up because right away I thought of that time I walked around the yard with my uso, and I'm saying out, out, not out loud, but I'm just talking to him.
Yeah.
And I'm a firm believer of God. But the route that I took and the choices that I make, it didn't show it.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was humble. I was humble that day. And I think I'll say like 30% of my humbleness was because wasn't because I was sad that I was going in. I was humble. I was brought back to reality.
Right.
And then he told me that you ain't got to do this. You
Mm-hmm.
ain't got to go through this. So next thing you know, the door opens. They call my name. It was funny. They called my name and they gave me all my belongings, took my fingerprints, and then they told me you're free to go. Man, I ran out of that place. I'm going just before
Yeah.
they double check, let me run out of here. My sister came to pick me up. I jumped in the car and said, hurry up, let's go, let's go. I think they messed up.
Yeah,
But,
man.
next year will be 30 years. And I guess I've been making the right decision. And
Yeah.
I remember when I was getting out, there was three things. I told myself, Manu, you're not coming back to this place. And you know how simple that is, say. But living it out, 30 years later, I'm still hanging in there.
Right.
Because you get people that crosses your path, and some people you're slow to anger on. It's all right. And then some things that is done, man, you're right there, ready
Mm-hmm.
to do whatever, you know. And and one of the things I wanted to talk about was, the pride that we carry with ourselves. I'm not talking about a small pride, not. I'm talking about the pride that drives us to do the stupid things when we could have just say, you know what, he's in a rush, you know, he cut me off, he's in a rush, he's probably late to work, and that would have been that,
Mm.
But that pride, if we don't control it, if we don't put it in a leash, that's why we put dogs and cats in leash, because we can control them.
Yeah.
If we don't put that self pride, you know, in a leash, we're gonna be right back in there. And
That's
I've
so
seen it
true. So true.
so many times it happens.
Yeah. Yeah, that's so true. Even myself, I go through it today, I mean, just like you said, being in traffic and someone might be having a bad day, man. And it just takes that one decision. Either you're going to be still out here or you're going to end up in there, And when you're under stress or going through things in life, sometimes it just pushes you and causes you. That's just the last button that causes you to lose your temper, and then your whole life is gone. You're locked up. You mentioned earlier, did you go to prison for something you didn't do?
No, it was something that I did.
Okay. Yeah,
But we were taking the rap
right.
because we were the younger one.
Because you're the younger one.
Yes.
Ah,
But
man.
actually, I was sentenced to California Youth Authority, which is YTS. I was
Mm,
sentenced there, but because of what I did there, I moved over, and then and eventually I ended up, in Soledad.
right,
But I
right.
was sentenced to YA, but they kicked me out of it.
Mm-hmm. So were you
So
an M number or something like that in YA?
I was man, I forget my number.
Oh,
Um, but it was 1980. I was going through Los Padrinos, then I went to Central,
mm-hmm.
um, and then I went to Silmore, and then I ended up in Cap Months, and then when I got out in 1980, that was it.
Mm. Man, what was that like for your first time? What YA was pretty crazy back then. I
Yes.
remember the stories. Yeah. What was that like? First time hitting the reception in YA.
Well, I mean, we were told ahead of time from homies that's been in there,
Mm-hmm.
and hey, you got to do this, you got to do that. Don't let nobody take anything from you.
Yeah.
Uh, Even if you lose, it doesn't matter. That's not counted. Just don't let nobody take anything from you.
Mm-hmm.
And I took that to heart. So when I was going through Los Padrinos, and even when I got to fire camp, uh, I I'm the wrong person, that you're
Yeah.
gonna cross
Yeah.
because I don't whatever extreme that we need to go to is gonna go there.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna do what I need to do to survive because, you know, going through there, I remember the first time walking in there, I was like, uh, you're nervous. Um, you're scared because you don't know. It's just like us facing death. We don't know what death is like,
Mm-hmm.
So it's that mentality, like it's the don't know.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you know, we're willing to do whatever it takes. And and I survived through those places, like, you know, that's because I didn't allow anything, not even a simple little thing. Because I
Mm-hmm.
remember when I was in the county jail, this guy came and took trash out of my room. I
Mm-hmm.
stepped out. I say, that's disrespectful of you. Oh, it's just trash. I'll put that stuff back. I don't want you to take anything out of here without my permission.
Right.
You know, but I ain't gotta live that life.
Right.
I walked away from that life. That life is, man, you really gotta do what you gotta do. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah. As a youngster growing up with abuse and everything, you start living in that whole, like, where you're protecting yourself all the time. And how you mentioned you grew up in a household with abuse. I did as well. And a lot of my usos that I spoke with, I think a lot of people that go to jail actually had that same issue, and we're stuck in that whole survival mode. What was it, and what did it take for you to really finally get out of that survival mode after going through everything you've been through, the streets, CYA, prison, everything? How did you get out of that survival mode, that pride mode you're talking about?
okay, when I was like I said, before I got out of Calipatria,
Mm-hmm.
I had truthfully told myself, man, Manu, you can't come back here, man. This ain't the life for you. We weren't designed to be in places like this. Not
Yeah.
you, you know. And then another thing is, I told myself, Manu, you just got to do the right thing. Do the right thing, and you ain't got to worry about the cops looking for you. You ain't got to worry about somebody else crossing you or coming after you. You ain't got to worry about all that. Just do the right thing, and you'll be good. So with that, I've had a lot of tests. And one of the things that, I was working on at the time when I first got out, you got to have foundation. Uh, Foundation to me will give you stability in decision making. When you decide to do something, you gotta check the boxes. Is this going to benefit just you or your family?
Right. Mm.
Right. And I'll give you a good example. I bought a stick shift truck, right? And I went to work, so I used the other car, and I told my wife she can use the truck, and I found out, she knew the basic of the truck, but she wasn't comfortable in driving, and so therefore the truck sat all day. And I said to myself, why in the world? Because I was a truck driver. Why in the world would I want to buy a truck and it didn't benefit my family?
Mm-hmm.
So I was happy when we got rid of it, and that's the point I want to make. I was telling myself as I was building the foundation to stand firm in, because without a foundation to stand on, man, you're gonna be wavering in your decision.
Yeah.
So I decided that, you know what, if I'm gonna stay out, do the right thing. And and a lot of it, you get tested, you know, you get tested on what you're trying to do, to better yourself and protect your family as well as them from you.
Yep.
So one time I went to the gas station, and I was pulling up. You know how you pull up to back in? I pulled up, and this other car, these two guys was in there, pulled up and took the pump. And I was going to church at that time. And that's what I'm talking about, that pride, man. I pulled up, got out, and walked up to the guy and started going off. And the other guy came out and said, I don't care if there's four of you guys. You know, I was so mad. But when I happened to turn, I was so angry at the time. And as I'm talking to them, my daughter was in the car. I think she was 3 years old at the time. And as I turned, I caught a glimpse of her through the window. And she's like this. And it stopped me in my track.
Mm.
It stopped me in my track and said, you can't raise her from here. You know, you remember you
Wow.
picked her up when she was born and you told her that you were going to be there for all her tomorrows. You can't do it doing this stuff.
Wow.
So I looked at them. As mad as I was, I just turned around, hopped in the car, and drove away. And you know, you get so angry, tears come down, and you know, you're hurt. You wanted to do something, but in order to get over this thing, put a leash on this pride. And trust me, man, a lot of us that come from the island, we have that self-pride, man, that it's dangerous if it's let out the wrong way,
Mm-hmm.
or if it's allowed to take control. And the other time I was working for a trucking company, and I was offloading a trailer, and then I came to a pallet of computer chips, and computer had just came out that year. So each box, there was 200 boxes, and each box held 200 brains per box. So me and this one guy, we were counting how many is in there because we didn't have paperwork for it,
Mm-hmm.
right? So this guy told me, hey, I can have somebody meet us and we can drop this off and me and you will go half on it, right? And at the same time, in my head, I said, man, I'm supposed to be a Christian,
Mm-hmm.
but yet, I'm being tempted here. And then I told him, oh, all right, let's do that. So on the way back, I'm fighting this decision. I shouldn't even say fighting. I was trying to convince myself, can't do this, man. You're going against, what you wanted to do,
Mm-hmm.
which is do the right thing so you can sleep better at night and you ain't got to worry about the cops coming after you. Um, so I went back and I made my decision before I got to that point of meeting, and I just drove right by, took it in, made a note, hey, brought the pallet out, and I left a note on there. This was unaccounted for. And come to find out, the the company that shipped it didn't know who they shipped it with, but they were looking for it.
Mm.
Um, and shortly after that, I ended up, with the greatest job that you know a guy like me can have.
Mm-hmm.
And and I realized that not at that moment, but I've always, you know, uh, knew inside of me that honesty go a long way. We get tempted, there's temptation. Yes, there's temptation. You know, decision. That's where when I say foundation, you got to be firm with what you're going to do, because if you're not willing to suffer the consequences, then don't make that decision.
Yeah. And it's like you said, seeing your daughter and realizing, hey, I can't raise her from inside the joint. I can't do that. And it makes me also realize as well that sometimes it's not us that we're willing to change for. It's something else, like a family member, our children, or something that really just pushes us and says, hey, you know what? I want to change for them. If I can't do it for myself, I want to do it for them, and that's basically what I had to do myself. And I really understand that, with what you did. And you're absolutely right. Making the right decisions, it really just opens new doors for you. And, The only door you're going to open with the negative decisions is that iron gate.
Yeah, I think forgiveness plays a big role because it's a beginning of change. Because I truly believe that when we don't learn to forgive, we will never get the closure that we need to move on. We can't close things, you know. And I forgave my parents. I forgave the ones that abused us or me. I forgave, you know, along the way, and it opened up doors that made me a better person, made me decide when I make decisions on things, you know, right away. Who does this benefit, you or your family or everybody? And that's the kind of decision I like to make. If it doesn't benefit my whole family, then I will say no. And I say that forgiveness, you gotta have foundation, you know, because when I got out, I didn't have no guidance in staying out. All I knew is that if I did the right thing, uh, I won't have to worry about the cops coming after me. I won't have to worry about anybody being after me. I won't have to worry about, you know, somebody coming to my house when I'm not there. If, you know, the innocent one, I ain't got to worry about all that. If I just do the right thing. And so I apply it everywhere I go. If somebody cuts me off, yeah, I'm going to be mad, you know, but it gets easier all the time, you know, when you keep working it, you keep, you know, you keep going down this route. And as you know, when somebody cuts you off, he's in a hurry, he's late. You know, I'm heading home. I'm heading to the people that I love.
Yeah. Man, that's powerful, man. Especially the forgiveness part, holding that in you where you're angry about things that happened to you as a child or, you know, just your upbringing. It really affects you in your adult life and how you interact with other people. Forgiveness is very powerful. And that's something that's really hard for a lot of people to do, especially when you feel you've been wronged, you know?
Yes.
But looking at the bigger picture, like you said, you know, holding on to, is that benefiting me at all? And it's not benefiting anybody I run into and how I interact with people. So you wanted to speak about your little bro. What was that like, you know, being in prison in the same yard with your little bro and then having to leave him in there when you finally got out?
I felt like I failed when I was younger, right? And I can use so many excuses of why I failed. But the only thing that I can say that I can accept, you know, what went on is I was young at the time and I didn't even know myself. But I didn't know I was setting an example for the younger ones looking up. You know, I might have been a guy that he's been looking up to doing all the wrong things and he ended up doing the wrong thing. And then I got to see it with my own eyes. You know, this is the product of the modeling that you did at home. And this is the results right here. Now, I don't want my brother to be in places, especially, you know, in the penitentiary, because when we go through it, we have to watch ourselves, you know, watch what we do, protect ourselves. And just imagine your younger brother, you know, you growing up with them, you remember when you were young, and just him going through this process by himself, you know, and you're hoping at the same time you can go through with them. But, you know, it is what it is. And one of the things that when I saw him, I say I failed as a brother, as an older brother, I failed. And then he ended up serving more time that I think he's almost triple what I did at this point. And you know, it goes back to that decision that we make at that moment. You know, I mean, I honestly feel bad that you know, that he ended up in there. And I say I'm the person to blame for setting that example for I mean, we don't communicate in words, but action speaks louder because, hey, if he sees me do it, it must be okay. And that's the part I have to look at him and I say, I'm sorry, bro. But there's no words of saying, there's no words that can, describe, the pain that I'm going through just seeing him there and leaving the place. I mean, what's the money that they give you at the gate? I send it to them, but what is that going to do? So I just feel sorry for my bro.
Mm-hmm. Is he serving a life sentence right now?
He's got life without.
Mm. Yeah, man, that's very hard, and I hear you, especially growing up with somebody and then having to lose them to the system like that, and feeling responsible. Oh man, I'm sure your brother doesn't blame you for that. And we all have our own paths. We do, and it's something like you said, we really need to make the right choices when it comes down to it. All of us, because it really just affects not only ourselves, but it affects everybody who loves you, cares about you. Exactly. I mean, we're missing you, it's terrible. What would you say to anyone that's out there right now watching you and just struggling, in life, period? I know you gave some good examples on what they need to do, but what if they just feel like their back is against the wall? I mean, what would you tell them and what would you offer them to make better decisions with their situations today?
Depending on this situation, it plays a big role. If you ain't got nothing going for you, it's harder. I mean, what words can you express when your back is against the wall? Mm-hmm. This is a life you're used to, and to get out of that life or to come away from it, it takes time. And for somebody that's going through there, I like to say, just hang in there. Mm-hmm. There's tomorrow. Tomorrow will bring different things, and it'll help you look at the life a little different. But if you cut yourself short, if you take it all away, not giving tomorrow a chance, tomorrow might be better than today. Your back is against the wall today. Mm-hmm. Maybe tomorrow can help you come off of that wall a little bit. Yeah. And buy you more time. Because if you allow what you're used to take over, I mean, your decision at that point is too late. But buy yourself some time. Give yourself another day. Just say tomorrow will be better than today. Mm. Let me give this time and trying to figure out what can I do to get out of this. As much as time you need, take it. Because later on, when you come off of that wall, you ain't got nobody to thank but yourself for giving you that time. If you one of those that's that want to rush into solving that problem, and the time is wrong, it's gonna go wrong. Mm. Give yourself some time. Let tomorrow come.
Right.
Let tomorrow come, because it'll change things.
Yeah. Good. That's really good. No emotional decisions at the moment. No. Yeah.
No, because it usually goes wrong. Now that's just for the people that, that's had nothing going for them. They, no family member, no help. Give yourself some time. You're gonna run into somebody who has the right answer that's gonna help you.
Right.
And give God a chance. Mm-hmm. He will find a way out for you. Just like he sent his son as an scapegoat. Hey, we'll try anything at that point. Now, for the people that has family that has a chance, come on, Goose. Come on. If it's just benefiting you,
Mm-hmm.
then I say you deserve it. But you got to look at your family. You got to look at what you have. You can't guarantee to get another one.
Mm.
You got to hold on to the things that you have now, like it's going to be gone tomorrow. You got to cherish those things. Your kids, your wife, whatever you're going through, you got to cherish those things because, it's not like the store. You can just walk in the store and buy another one. No, this is stuff. Once it's gone.
Wow, that's so true. It's so true. And especially, what it's like going to prison, losing everything. Yeah, I know. I remember just sitting in there thinking, man, if I could only get it back, if I could just change what I did, make better decisions. And then you come home and it's like you're back in it and you're trying to make these good decisions. You kind of forget about what it felt like in there. But man, it's so true. You got to realize that every moment of your life, man. Very, very good. I love that advice. I'm sure your family is very proud of you and where you came from and where you're at today. Like you said, you started off as a young kid who didn't really know much English, and look at you, you're doing really good in life, got your family, been out for a long time. Man, such a blessing. And I can tell that God has been working in your life consistently since day one from your story, from the things you said here.
I just like to say, for the Usos that, because that's why I wanted to speak, for the Usos that get out of jail. Uh, hey, there's a light at the end of the tunnel. But you owe the key to that. When you make wrong decision, you're going to get wrong results. But when you strive to get the right decision, you're going to get the right, results. It depends on you. But all I'm saying, I'm encouraging all you usos and sisters that, that serving time about to get out. That's the key thing here. If we can make it, you can make it, because if we can make right decision, so can you. Don't let that tie you up and destroy your life continuously until it's done. No, you ain't got to go down that route. There's always a better answer. Seek out the best answer to the question that's in your head, and then you ask yourself, who does this benefit? If you have a family and it doesn't benefit your family, don't go down that route. Mm-hmm. Make sure everybody's covered. If it's just you and it benefits you, take it. Just know that you can do it, man. I love all you usos and sisters out there. It's a struggle in there, but when we're given a chance, sometimes we don't get another chance. And you gotta take it to the fullest. The last chance that we're giving, you gotta act like this is your last chance because you might not get another chance. Don't go to the mic. Enjoy the last one and make it last, and then enjoy your family. Yes. Thank you so much, Ron. Thank you for your time.
It was a pleasure meeting you, and I'm glad to have you on here. Thank you for spending time with me this evening and sharing your story. It was a pleasure meeting you.
And likewise to you.
Much love. All right, Uz, much love.
Doing a good thing.
Thank you.
All right.
Peace.